always a hot topic. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? Should he be banned from baseball? Now, Pete passed away late last year in September, and Commissioner Manfred is considering removing him from MLB's ineligible list. We saw President Trump talk about pardoning him, but Don Van Natta Jr., who represents Pete Rose, sent a request in on January 8th and said, hey, he should be taken off the ineligible list because it's a lifetime ban and the ban is over. And the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, is considering it. They had a 1 hour meeting December 17th, very busy schedule, but he did fit them in for a 1 hour meeting. And, obviously Pete Rose bet on baseball. Also, there's been a lot of chatter on social media the last couple of days saying, well, he only bet on his team to win. Well, he didn't bet on his team to win every single game. I just want to throw that out there. So if you don't bet on your team to win every single game, why don't you believe in them the other games? Just start to do some math there on why that part does not make a lot of sense. But anyway, AJ, he has passed away. The Hall of Fame always tries to blame this on MLB, saying, oh, well, he's on the ineligible list. So if MLB does take him off of that list, then it is on the Hall of Fame because they created the Pete Rose rule to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. So what do you think is going to happen and what should happen?
Well, if Pete Rose is eligible now, then why is Shoeless Joe Jackson not eligible now, right? I mean, he passed away a long time ago and he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's still on the ineligible list. I think this is just a lot ado about nothing. I'm sorry, you broke the cardinal rule, Pete, and God rest your soul. But you broke the cardinal rule of baseball. You cannot bet on baseball games. You cannot do. We saw what happened with Pat Hoiberg the other couple weeks ago, where he didn't even bet. He just, his friend used his account to bet on baseball, and he's suspended. You just can't do it. It sucks. Pete did it. The biggest thing is it took him 30 years to admit he did it. So, even if he gets off the ineligible list, will he get into the Hall of Fame? I don't know how he'd go in, the Veterans Committee, the other eras committee, whatever it is, but would people vote him in? That's a bigger question, because even if baseball declares him eligible, the Hall of Fame still has to vote him in. So I don't know, but for me, listen, I've been hard no on this the whole time. People can get mad at me. I don't really care. But to me, there's one rule in baseball you can't break, and it is the gambling rule, especially when you're gambling on your own team. I know he only bet to his teams to win, but still, I mean, he was the manager. He did maybe, Scott, Eric, he might have had a little inside information on certain games as the manager of a team.
And some guys were rested and not rested. Anyway, I still say no, he's not allowed in. Should there be something in the Hall of Fame to commemorate his unbelievable achievements? Because it's it's more than just the plaques and the people that are in there. There's a lot of pieces of history. There's a lot of things that mark the history in the game, and I think he is 100% part of that. So do I think he'll ever get in, was one of your questions, Scott. Yes, I think he will get in. I think they've played it out, and if the family really wants that, I don't know, there's a lot of people that have broken rules that people feel like are more important or less important than that, and they don't have any more repercussions. This was a blanket statement. You will be banned for life if you get caught betting on baseball. That's it. They put it out there. Never said you'll be banned for life. You'll be banned from all awards if you get caught doing steroids. No. This is something, it was put out there. It's read to you every spring training. So I feel like it's kind of cut and dry.
Okay, let me ask you this, Kratzy. So if you think Pete Rose will get in, why is Bonds not in? Why is Clemens not in? Why is whoever else, McGuire, Sosa, all these guys that are PED linked, why are they not in? Palmeiro has 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. That's 2 autos. He's not in. Why not? Now, can the Veterans Committee vote him in? So is what they did. Now, I'm gonna preface this. It was not against the rules of Major League Baseball when they allegedly did things. Gambling is 100% against the rules, and you're out for life. So which one's worse? So if Pete gets in, why do we not let the other guys in? There's a slippery slope here. And if we're gonna say, well, gambling's not that bad, he's dead now. Well, then does that mean Bonds and Clemens and McGuire and Sosa and all these guys that did all these great things, are they going to get in after they pass away?
I think they should get in now. We weren't talking about the steroid guys, but I think that, to me, that's not even close. Like, I think they should have been in, and I think people just want to be on their high horse and be like, no, I didn't vote those guys in. You also didn't face what they were facing. They weren't the only guys doing this. They were not the only ones out on an island. Oh my goodness, those guys were steroid guys? There are steroid guys already in the Hall of Fame. You didn't get it right. Put the best in. They are the best. Don't have another wing. Don't have any asterisks. That's my soapbox for those guys. They should be in, bar none, flat out. That's it.
What about
Ken
the Astros
Rosenthal.
guys? No, what about the
about
Astros guys? Altuve, he's going to get 3,000 hits more than likely.
Yes.
Carlos Beltran was on that team. He's more than likely going to get in. Would you consider them cheating, having cheated? Because a lot of fans will say they cheated.
They cheated, yes. But we're talking about the Hall of Fame. We're talking about dudes that created things like what pitchers put substance on the balls and got into the Hall of Fame. Like that, in. Carlos Beltran and Jose Altuve, in.
Okay.
If Altuve has the career.
Just, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, there's so many different ways you can frame however you want to frame it, right?
That's the thing. Because the way you guys are talking, it's like, okay, well, Pete Rose was one of the best players ever. So
he was.
What happened there when he was a player, you know? And should he be punished just for the manager side of things? Or did he bet his player?
Greenies are banned then. Or banned now. They weren't banned then, so should every player that took a greenie not be allowed in the Hall of Fame? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not my decision.
Roids, by the way, were illegal. You can't use them in the country back then, too. But I get what you're saying.
I mean, there's a lot of things you can't do, but I mean, the 86 Mets were doing illegal stuff, and, you know, people cheer them all the time.
But this is why most people are like, yo, can we just put him in? He clearly is near and dear to so many people and such a big part of childhood and love of the game and the whole thing. And he definitely should not have been involved in baseball once he was caught. That was accomplished. He is now not alive. And it was called a lifetime ban. So they're like, can they strip it? And the earliest, this was what I was saying before, that he could be inducted is 2028, according to Ken Rosenthal, who was doing some checking behind the scenes. That's based on the current process that the Hall of Fame has, because he would be considered part of the classic era, because his biggest contributions to the sport came before 1980. So the classic era players aren't scheduled to be considered again until they do that voting process in the winter of 2027. That's a committee of former players. Do you think they would vote him in if he's taken off of the ineligible list? Because it seems like they're not into that level, or those players from long ago that are on that board. It seems like they're pretty anti-steroid guys, but would they be anti-Pete Rose here?
Anti-steroids. Depends on who's. At one point, it was like Joe Morgan, and I don't know who else. Joe Morgan was one of the most outspoken guys. I mean, he was a teammate with Pete Rose for a long time. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see this. I just don't know that it will be enough pressure for Rob Manfred to reinstate him to whatever level he has the power to, because let's not forget, he still has to get voted into the Hall of Fame. It's not like, he automatically goes into the Hall of Fame if Rob Manfred comes out and changes this. But if he changes this, then you got to get Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame also.
Should we just say screw it and just open up the floodgates and let everyone in? I'm not even giving my opinion here, because the more that time moves on, the more I'm just like, whatever. Let the people in if it's going to make everyone happy. And obviously, we have better rules in place. Like, the game is modernized. Nowadays, there's at least a better testing system. There's more strict penalties if you do get caught with roids. Say it however you want. People are so misinformed on this topic. We are so much better now in the past few years at catching people doing shady things with betting than we ever were for the first 100 some odd years of baseball, because it's regulated so they can catch people, even people who kind of made a mistake. You know, at least that's what Pat Hoberg said, who we spoke about earlier, the umpire who got caught and now he's banned from the game. The reason you catch those people is because they're betting on apps that are actually regulated. So the people that are like, MLB markets betting, what does that have to do with a player in a game impacting what the heck's going on in the game?